Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Alpha Smith, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here this morning announcing that People Before Profit has 40% of women candidates in the coming local elections, and indeed our candidate for Europe is also a woman, Reid Smith. And while we are actually running more candidates in the local elections than ever before, we have a total of 43. That means that it's, I think, 39.5%, and we're reckoning that's 40%, which is far in excess of any of the other political parties. And it isn't really very difficult to know why People Before Profit has such a large number of really excellent women candidates. It's because around the country, women are so hard hit by austerity, and women are the linchpins, we know, of our families, but also of our communities, and really of what is happening in villages, in towns, in countrysides, all around the country. And women are more than annoyed. Women are definitely saying this time round, we've had enough and we're out to change things. So I think it would be absolutely accurate to say women are on the move. And People Before Profit has always had large numbers of women in our membership, precisely because we are part of our communities and we work on behalf of our communities. So I'm very proud, as somebody who's been involved in the women's movement for well over 30 years, to be part of a party where we do have 40% of women candidates. And let me tell you that they're all very excellent candidates, many of them out on the first time round. So it's a somewhat nerve-wracking experience, but we know that this is well worthwhile, and that our numbers of women will only grow. We think we're a very good example to the other political parties. We didn't do this, we didn't need quotas, we didn't need threats, we didn't need bribes, we didn't need blackmail, there's no question of fines. Women are political. And when women talk about their communities, those are the politics that really matter on the ground, and women here are ready and up for it. And I have absolutely no doubt we'll make a very, very good showing in the election. So I'm very pleased to call straight away on Melissa Halpin from Dunleary Rathdown to speak to us. Melissa.
Can you bring the mic over here? Thanks very much.
Thanks. Just when Alva was saying there about women being on the move and women being angry, certainly in Dunleary Rathdown County Council last Monday, you could see how angry women are, because there was a demonstration outside Dunleary Rathdown County Council about the issue of housing. And myself and my colleague Councillor Hugh Lewis, had raised the issue in the Chamber, and it was disgracefully voted against by Labour and Fine Gael, who run the council out there. We'd raised the issue of housing, of homelessness, of the fact that for the first time ever, families, women and children, are going into the council and saying, we have nowhere to go, we are homeless, and the council is saying, go away, come back next week, we might have something for you. They don't even have emergency accommodation. And when we went out to the crowd outside the Chamber and said, Labour and Fine Gael have just voted against a motion to talk about the housing situation, the women and children marched into the council chamber, marched right into the hall, and it was an amazing vision of women on the move, as Alva was just saying. They walked in, they sat themselves down on the stairs of the county council and started singing, "We Shall Not Be Moved." And I think that's, women are angry, and the only people representing those women in that chamber the other night was People Before Profit. And I'm exceedingly proud to be a councillor for People Before Profit, to be running as a candidate for People Before Profit, because we are the ones who are representing women. We are representing homeless women, women who are living in the most horrendous overcrowding situations, and we're standing up for them in the chamber. And I think it's no accident that there are so many women candidates in People Before Profit, because we're the ones fighting on that issue and on many other issues. And I think the other issue that is very dear to the heart of many women in this country is the right to choose. And it's certainly the issue that politicised me in a big way when I was growing up. In the X case, I was a student when the X case happened, and some of the biggest marches I was ever involved in was the marches to allow the young 13-year-old girl the right to travel. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, People Before Profit is a fully pro-choice organisation and seeks to constantly raise this issue. Both myself and Councillor Smith have put the issue on Dublin City Council. agenda and on Dún Laoghaire agenda to repeal the 8th Amendment, and we'll continue to fight to have that amendment repealed. And we also, I think, look forward to getting involved from now in the marriage equality campaign, which will be coming up next year. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Melissa. We'll carry on with Tina McVeigh, who is running for Crumlin Kimmage. You're quite right, sorry. I've got to keep remembering that.
Thanks, Alva. Tina McVeigh. I'm running in the Crumlin Kimmage ward, and I would like to include the Southwest Inner City in that because we've forgotten about. I'm a community worker and a community activist and a lone parent of 2 children. And everything that Melissa has said about the challenges that are faced by families, I can count for that being reflected on the doorsteps as we're canvassing. Women who describe themselves as broken, women who are facing eviction, women who are not in a position to afford to feed their children despite the fact that they are working, women who cannot access critical services for their children, women who are full of anxiety by not just the ravages of the current austerity measures, but also of the other measures that they're facing into, such as, for example, water charges and the universal health insurance, which is now being muted. And I don't understand how we can listen to stories from government and myths from government that in fact we are in recovery, when we can see every day the ravages of austerity. And listening to these stories and to what I meet in my work as well as a community worker, it rages me. It absolutely rages me that women are disproportionately represented and disproportionately affected by austerity. And the elderly, for example, 70% of pensioners are women. 86.5% of families in poverty are headed by women. 70% of those providing care in society are also women. Again, women underrepresented in the labour market. 74% of the wages earned by women, 74% of the wages earned by men are earned by women. It's completely disproportionate across the board, and I don't understand how we can square this with the stories that we're hearing about recovery, which is a spin, but I also don't understand how we can square this with the free rein that the corporations have and that the wealthy have in relation to taxation. We haven't seen any moves to implement a wealth tax in Ireland. Certainly the EU financial transactions tax, which would raise €500 million if it were implemented, could be invested into communities and could be creating jobs in community services in health and education, for example, who are critical services to families and could certainly be providing critical services for the elderly in our communities. So I don't understand, as I said, how we can square this with the free rein of the wealthy and corporation tax. Corporation tax in Ireland is the lowest in Europe. We would have to treble our corporation tax rate just to arrive at the European average. As I said, these facts, they rage me and they rage the women in our communities. We are carrying the weight of austerity, of underrepresentation in labour, of overrepresentation in care and in poverty, and certainly underrepresentation in the decision-making structures of social, political, cultural and economic life. And I intend, through our community, and all of us here today, intend through our communities, through Council, through the Dáil and through the European Parliament, to carry this agenda forward and to represent women of the communities that we live in and that we represent forward into our agenda in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tina. We'll just leave that there for the moment and ask Louise Bayliss to speak to us. Louise is running in Mulhuddart.
I'm appealing to all lone parents to get involved in the campaign. Traditionally, we have not voted, and because of that, we have been unfairly attacked. And all groups that don't vote are going to be unfairly attacked. So I'm appealing to all disenfranchised groups to get out and use your vote. You have until May 6th to go on the supplementary register. So please go and register. Just for example, for lone parents, I was never political until the savage cuts imposed by Minister Burton back in December 2011. And that was on top of the fact that the following year we found out that this EU Silk report came out. Consistent poverty for lone parents is 42.2% as compared to 24.4% in the general population. It's 230% higher. That was before she introduced the cuts. Consistent poverty rate was 16.6%, which was 236% higher than the general population. If we don't vote, we're going to be attacked even more. In July 2015, 63,000 lone parents are going to lose their entitlement to one-parent family. It's not going to affect lone parents sitting at home that people think are doing nothing. Who it's going to affect are working lone parents. The average lone parent earning €200 a week, 200 a week, is going to lose €39 per week next July. That's why I'm standing, and that's why I'm appealing to all lone parents and all groups that are marginalised who feel they have no power to grab back the power and say a big no, a resounding no, that we're not taking it anymore. And come May 6th, my name is going to be on the register, and I'm going to vote against this type of action, against families.
Hooray. Thank you. We'll pass over now to Sharon Briggs. Sharon is running in Bray. Sharon.
Hi, my name's Sharon Briggs. I'm running in Bray County Wicklow. Maybe 3 years ago, I never saw myself in this position or even ever thought as a woman that I'd actually running in the local elections and getting out and getting involved on huge issues and joining joint protests. But what I found through this party, People Before Profit, I found my voice. I was listened to, I was encouraged, I was educated, I was given the confidence which I never got through any education, that I could actually stand up and have an equal voice, just like many people out there, on such issues like the property tax, like the water charge that are coming up now. And what we have, we find ourselves, a lot of the women in our own area, and I'm sure it's a reflection around the country, are so concerned about all these extra charges. Again, it's a reflection on what's been said earlier on with women running the households and everything else, and worrying about the cuts. It's other bills that we have to worry about that are affecting us and affecting our children. And women at home are having to make the decision whether we heat or eat. You know, whether your child can go to summer camp, we can't afford it. We have the system here that's telling us when we are in financial difficulty, well, tell your child you can't have his violin lessons or whatever lessons they may be doing. I find People Before Profit as a party is pushing on all these boundaries and giving women the chance to get out in their own local communities, build up some kind of system where we actually get out on a platform and voice our concerns on these, and we are heard. We do have, as been already been said, the gender equality in the political system is a disgrace, and I don't know how it got to this, but I think women are going to find their voice through issues, and hopefully, like the water campaign, we'll get out and fight on that and build for a big mass demonstration on the 20th of September to fight against what's going on here. And through that, the women hopefully again will get out and voice their concerns on that and get involved in People Before Profit, because we give the platform and we allow ourselves to get out there and work in the community. And I don't see any others doing the same as what we're doing. It's a different approach, but it's a good approach, and I think it's working, because we can see from the result here, we are ordinary grassroots people with just individuals. We're not educated politically to get out there and do something for somebody else. We're doing it because we're very, very concerned, and this is the reason why I'm in People Before Profit. I'm a woman and I have found my voice with them, and I encourage everybody else to do the same. Thank you.
Well done, Sharon. Thank you very much. I'd just like to ask Nicola Curry to say a word there. If you could step forward. Nicola, your ward is Glencullen Sandyford.
Needs more cheek than that.
Nicola Curry, Glencullen Sandyford.
Yeah, I'm standing in Glencullen Sandyford, and this is my second time out. I'm a seasoned campaigner at this stage, and what motivated me to get involved, I think, is the same as the other women. Enough, you know, we are paying the price of austerity, they call it, but we are paying for the deaths of some of the richest people on the planet, and seeing our living conditions, our social services, our public services run into the ground, and we're left carrying that burden. And I think, you know, as women, we organically came through and just felt enough is enough. We're going to get up in arms and speak out about this. And I think it's interesting that the age profile here is slightly on the older side. And I think that reflects, except for our Kim here. But it is a reflection that women aren't in the decision making and the policy making arena, because a lot of the times what certainly held me back down through the years and getting political or getting active was no childcare. You know, you could get to public meetings at night if they were the type of meetings that were community meetings where they'd allow you bring your kids. But in terms of getting out and fighting, you know, I think, as Sharon said, our party is great in that they will try and provide the space, and children and all waifs and strays are encouraged to get out and protest about this. But we need to really defend our community employment childcare. It's the backbone of resistance, the community sector, and it's under a huge attack. And we've got a situation where community employment childcare workers are fastly disappearing as their contracts come to an end, and there's very few people going to step forward for 50 quid a week to fill those vacancies. And when we stop having the correct ratios to actually staff our creches, we're going to have to turn people away. And I think, you know, as Louise said, at the same time to have a situation where they're going to cut lone parents off the supports that they have at the moment when their children are 7 and no childcare in place, we need to get into the policy arena to change things. And that means bringing women's issues to the fore, whether it is childcare or our roles in unpaid carers, because that's what we have been. We've been the backbone for this economy in all our roles as cleaners and cookers. Somebody said, Anna Doyle just said the reason we're out and involved is because we feel it in the kitchen. And it's literally true. Trying to do less with more, whether it's in the workplace or in the home, all of us in this society trying to do less with more. And the obscenity that you have the rich recovering their losses and just getting richer and richer. And it's more of the same, unless the like of us, working class people that actually live the austerity and breathe it day in, day out. And it won't stop unless we stop it. And it needs voices like ours that actually represent the people in there. The out of touch politicians, I'm canvassing every day, and that's the one thing that keeps coming home all the time. How can they represent us when they don't live the lives that we are living? So it's time to get rid of the fat cats who looked after the interests of their rich buddies and put all of this robbery onto the backs of us, and get the actual people in there to make the changes that we need to make. We don't need to be worrying about paying down the debt or the bondholders or the ECB. We need job creation to get this country back on its feet. We need childcare, we need social services, we need to lift the embargo on hospitals, we need to address the issues of suicide, which are absolutely escalating higher than anywhere else in Europe, and walk through the streets and see the homeless sleeping rough tonight again. Our society's unravelling. Let's get those vested interests out of power and get genuine people into power.
Yes, thank you very much.
To say, after all those wonderful and very inspiring candidates have spoken, I'm very proud that people before profit have set the agenda in this country by having 40% candidates. And as all the women here have said, that didn't happen by accident. It happens because people before profit is based on grassroots campaigning, it's based in working class communities, and it's based in areas that people really do need radical change, which is one of the reasons why I'm running for Europe. We're not Eurosceptics, we're certainly opposed to the sort of UKIP and right-wing agenda that is becoming very clear in Europe at the moment, but we are very Euro-critical. And we are Euro-critical for specific reasons. There is no real democracy coming from Europe. All of the Commission are unelected, and they dictate in reality, the Commissions and the courts dictate in reality what happens. So we witnessed today a major debate in the Cabinet about water charges. That's as a direct result of a water directive from Europe in 1999, which they're now, under the auspices of the Troika's imposition of the debt of this country, are now insisting that we move towards metering and charging and retrieving the full cost recovery of water. You've heard all the speakers here today. Austerity is crippling families. It is viciously attacking women. And where in the name of God they think women who are sitting here today and those whom they represent are going to get upwards of €300 a year just to put the most essential service that comes into your home, i.e. water. Water for bathing, for cooking, for drinking. Water is life, and they are now putting a major cost on the access to that life. And particularly in this country where 42,000 litres per year fall for every man, woman and child. The real scandal here is the debt. The real scandal is the crippling debt that Europe have imposed on us, €9 billion a year on interest alone. I'm running to call for the cancellation of that debt. We cancel the debt, there's no need for water charges. We can look after the single parent families. We can provide housing for the homeless. We can do a hell of a lot with €9 billion. And I think that has to be one of the things that we champion, combined with all of the austerity issues and the water charges. That has to be our mantra for the elections. And what we're going to be shouting and roaring and putting a post about on the 23rd of May, make Labour pay. Labour in particular have sold out the women in this room and the women they represent.
Thank you very much.